All right, so next up, however, is Ivaylo Kovachev, who is Associate Director at Redvertex. So I believe Ivaylo has some things to share with us.
Hi, everybody. Mic check 1, 2. Can you hear me, guys? Okay. So as Nicholas mentioned, my name is Ivaylo. I'm 32 years old. I'm at the position Associate Director in Redvertex. I have been working here for the past 10 years. And I just like to share my story so far in the field of 3D. And if somebody can take something from it, if you find it inspirational, I'll be more than glad. Really great work from the other guys too. It was so interesting for me. And my approach would be kind of more mixed technical stuff with philosophical stuff and with the decisions I took so far. So let's just begin. As you can see, taking way back, that's me some 30 years ago in the small city of ASENOVGRAD in Bulgaria. It's about 50,000 people, and it didn't have any environment for me to dig in and create inspiration and take advices in the world of arts, but I was really interested in that. Once my grandmother bought her first computer, like I think it was 99. Soon after playing a lot of games, I wanted to make something new, and I discovered the world of Photoshop. So this is how I began my artist adventure. It was creating skins for Winamp. If you guys remember that, before the Spotify and YouTube era, message boards and forums, we used to have these avatars pictures. We were creating those as well. Desktop backgrounds, anything I can imagine, to just able to modify, to test some text filters, photo filters, anything. So as I was growing old as a teenager, I didn't really know what career I want to pursue. I doubt anyone knows before he or she gets to high school, but I got into a school of electronics. That really wasn't my thing. I didn't want to be an electrical engineer or something like this. Not that there is something bad with that profession, but it just didn't really click with me. So I just discovered working with Photoshop. I even got my first job in senior year. That was my last year in high school. I just stopped going to school. I took maybe several weeks there. It was a full-time graphic design job, 9 to 5. It was in a shop for skateboarding and surfboard and this kind of stuff, clothing. I was making designs for clothes, and I really liked it. But that didn't work out. I had college exams coming in, and the approach of the company itself wasn't really my thing. So I graduated and I got into a university with marketing. So nothing in common with the electronics so far, but I still didn't stop working with graphic design. That was really what all through these years, from like I was 12 or 13 years old and so on. Now that I'm 18, 19, going into university, still doing graphic design stuff. And I find this internship, as you can see in the second bullet, that was a free internship in the marketing sphere. I was in my third year, and I applied for it. They got me. And other than marketing, I wasn't expecting anything else. I thought, wow, if I can be one step ahead of all my colleagues that don't have any experience, that would be really great to have this kind of advantage. But they also appointed me to do some graphic designs, like the design of the diplomas, banners, web elements, and so on. So I was combining both, and later on they got me full-time. I continue working, mixing with the school. I started to get paid, and I wanted to invest in buying myself a laptop. So that was a very major decision to get kind of a better computer, because it was at this time my girlfriend got into architecture school, but in Sofia. That's the capital of Bulgaria. So she started learning architecture, and I was still in Plovdiv. This really motivated me because I always had a thing for interior design, and I tried to decide this software called 3ds Max. I started looking for some tutorials. I started doing tests that I'm not going to show right now because most of you will just disconnect. And I kind of liked it. The idea of having another dimension is really interesting. So I started rendering. I started watching a lot of tutorials. It wasn't so many back then. This is like 15 years ago, maybe. And I was in university during the day, then at my graphic design job, and later at night I was doing test renders. And okay, it was a pretty nice computer for back in the day, but it wasn't still able to hit render and just see your results 10 minutes later like you can do now. So I was hitting render during the night, go to sleep and pray that I got all my settings correct when I wake up in the morning, sometimes just to find out that the program crashed, no render, nothing at all. But to trial and error, I got better and better, and was confident enough to start showing my renders on forums. The one you can see in the lower left is some of my first interiors that I was doing. I was still using Mental Ray, and I just couldn't get them to look more photorealistic. I couldn't make them with less noise, with better settings. I was trying everything. I was asking in the forums. They were saying increase this setting, decrease this one, and so on and so on. Until one day I discovered the world of V-Ray. So it has nothing to do that this event is sponsored by Chaos. It's really the way it happened. And really, in a matter of days and weeks, I just feel this ease of work. Everything was so intuitive. I was getting better and better results. And I got to the point on the render on the right. I was getting better and better to that. And I remember vividly one comment, like all the guys on the forums were trashing me, like you're going nowhere, maybe stick to marketing. But it's, I think, really important to just find your passion and just go for it. And no matter all the bad critics, and by bad I don't mean people that will learn, that will teach you about how to do something, but the ones that are just basically haters, you just have to ignore that and be inspired by that and motivated by that, and just keep doing what you love. And there was one message that I remember saying, a new 3D giant is coming after this series of renders I was doing with V-Ray. So I was in between photography, graphic design, web design. I was still learning marketing. And when I started reading these positive comments, I really thought to myself, maybe this is a career I might have a future in. So little did I know back then. I started doing freelance. I got better and better. It was this website, freelance.com. Maybe some of you know it. And in the lower left, you can see that was my first commissioned work that I got for a client. He wanted this for a web background to use as a template for his website. And this is the first money I made solely based on 3D. And I really enjoyed that. I didn't have how to get my money. I was making PayPal accounts. I was asking friends how to get this transaction, so on and so on. And freelance really has its pros and cons. I know a lot of people that are doing only freelance, and I know people, of course, that never tried it. I tried it for several months. I got several gigs here and there in the 3D part, but I wanted more stability. You have the freedom, but you never know when the next gig is coming out. Sometimes you have a lot of work, sometimes you may not. And I was uploading everywhere, message boards, Vimeo. The one on the right is from a video I made of this free work I did. It was a breakdown and just showing, starting from sketch to the wireframe, to the test render, raw render, post-production, and I just created a video sequence of that. Next thing you know, I receive a message on Vimeo, and it's from the owner of Redvertex, the company I work in now, Dimitar Rashkov. And he said, how can I contact you? I want to talk with you. We have an opening in the studio. Because back then it was like 20 people working in the company and there wasn't any free workspaces available. If you want to come in, someone had to quit or be fired in order for a free space to come up, and then you can apply and start. So at the point, I had a steady job finishing university and waiting to get graduated as a graphic designer. It's been like 2 or 3 months, but I said, okay, let's try. Let's go to Sofia. I was still in Plovdiv. Let's try and go there and hear him out. I went to the studio on a Saturday. It was just me and him and a guy with a Mike Tyson face tattoo. So this was the first person I saw in the office. He was doing some extra work. I said, someplace here. It was an old apartment with vintage furniture. It was very nice stylized. There are renders everywhere. First time I walk in an office like that, because in Plovdiv there weren't any 3D companies or available jobs for me. It was only what I could find with graphic design and Photoshop. So we talked for a while. I said how I feel. He said what we can propose. And I was thinking in my head that I want this job, but I had this fear, and that I share with him. I had this steady job. I have to come in a much bigger city, quit the old job, find a new place to go, and really risk it, because I haven't worked that full time so far. And he realized what I was feeling, that I was not so sure if I want to take it, maybe some fear involved. And he said, you know what? In life, you just got to be brave and take your chances. And when the opportunity presents itself, just grab it and go for it. We didn't close a deal back then, but in the back of my head, I made my decision. I go back to my work as graphic designer, said I was going to quit in like 2 weeks' time, and started looking for a place to stay in Sofia. It was like my morning routine: drink my coffee, open the website, and find any listings. I find the listing, go back to Sofia, check it. First thing I saw, I took it. It was actually not bigger than the room that I'm in right now. It was like 15 square meters. Actually, you can see it in the lower left. The fisheye lens I have used for this photo really gives a wrong impression. It is much smaller in person. I'm tall 188, and the bed was like in a caught in a ship. It was sunken under the roof. And this was my first place I stayed. It was not very convenient, but I was doing it. I started in Sofia, I started in Redvertex, and that was maybe my biggest step that I took in my professional career. First day in the office, it's all killers around me, all great artists. We were working from 10 to 7 p.m. back then, and it becomes 7 p.m. I say, I'll make a good first impression. I'll stay until 7:30. It comes 7:30, nobody's leaving. I said, so people are really giving a lot of extra effort. And I was the youngest one. So every day I start staying up later and later and later, because I was the newest guy. I had to catch up with all these great artists around me. And it's really important to ask questions. Some people, maybe they are shy, maybe they have bigger ego, but you have to ignore all that and just ask questions. If you don't know how to do something, how to model something or render it, just ask a question. Don't be afraid for it, because you spend 3 hours and losing time if you're up in a deadline. Just ask questions, and it may be someone less experienced, but he may be able to give you an important advice. The second bullet says sleep, because I didn't sleep a lot when I was making 3D. I don't want to sound like I was the only one like doing that, but even before I got in the company, the passion was so big inside of me that I didn't feel the urge to sleep. I was making render tests like 4 or 5 in the morning. You have to find that passion in your life that will be able to keep you all night to learn the craft, because you just won't come up so naturally. We in the field of 3D and ArcVis and so on in design, we are lucky enough that no specific diploma is required, like for a lawyer or a doctor or stuff like that. You can learn it by yourself, but no one is going to pour it inside your mind. You have to spend in the hours, you have to put in the time. And even after I started working full time, there were times that we had to render during the night, stay during the night. You just go on the couch for 1 hour, then come back to the workstation and continue doing this. Just the way it is. The things have changed back then. I don't want to scare anyone that maybe decides to apply here, but it is how the stuff was about then, and nobody really complained. There were some guys that quit, but as I think of it, from the 20-30 people that were in the company when I started, most of them are still here. And yeah, that was my first workstation in the upper right, and really cool hats as a interior design touch. My work and the variety of it really comes to these two. The interiors on the right are actually my first project, my first renders that I did 10 years ago. It was an animation. I didn't do any animation so far, and it was my first thing, but I managed it. I made the interior shots. I can't show the animation right now because it's confidential, but these were the renders, and everything went great. And I felt the satisfaction that I was able to tackle a new problem, an uncharted territory. That was really something new for me. And the one on the lower left is showing the much advanced period of my time. This is the famous Dubai Marina district with all those skyscrapers in the back, the tallest ferry wheel in front in the world. And this is just the contrast in my work. I started as someone who is mainly focused in interiors, but everything from stadiums to Arabic heritage souks to shopping malls, all kinds of projects throughout the world. And it's really a blessing that I can do my living with something that started with test renders of interiors. It's really a wild ride. Our company is separated into teams led by project managers, and naturally I wanted to become one. It didn't happen in the beginning. I had my fair share of unpleasant talks, of things I have to make better about myself, to give more effort, some non-technical stuff. And I really just stopped looking at that as a single purpose. I just started to give more as an employee, to come on time, to stay late, to make more, to give extra, to participate in different scenarios, to take more responsibility. And just several years later, without me knowing it, I was promoted to a team manager, as I am to this day. And it's really a different ball game. It's still, you're doing everything in 3D, but you have just to find a balance between what are your team members doing and what you're doing, and how you're going in the same path. If you're meeting the deadline, it's something that I really enjoyed. I have my management classes during university, so that really helped a lot. And yeah, worldwide, the first bullet, as you can see, how to get big clients, is what people nowadays call clickbait. There's no exact formula on how to get bigger clients. And when I started like 2-3 years in the company, I went to my boss Dimitar and told him I was like feeling super confident, already got some years of experience under my sleeve, and just told him, okay, can we just write an email to the biggest guys, to Norman Foster or the biggest architectural companies, and just let them offer our work. And he described to me that it's not the way that with these companies, not the way to proceed. You have to be suggested by someone, you have to accumulate more connections, you have to gain more experience, and you just can't go and propose yourself to the big players like this. Naturally, over the years, one thing led to another, and now we're working with the biggest names in the architectural field: Zaha Hadid Architects, Norman Foster, Santiago Calatrava, and so on. But it was really a lesson that you have to start somewhere, and you can just aim for the highest possible clients. You just have to build it up to snowball it. And the photos I'm showing here are really from our team buildings around the world, showing the small studio from 20, 30 people expanded to over 100 people. Now we're close to 200 with offices in London, Dubai, here in Sofia, our main one, Belgrade. And we have colleagues from all over the world working. And not only that we started working with the bigger clients, but they're addressing us by our first name. They're collaborating with us as we're on the same team. And this is really a blessing because, as I mentioned, a lot of my colleagues have architectural degree. I don't. I come from economics, and before that from electronics. And it's really a blessing that I got to work with all these people, to know them, to contact on daily basis, and they write thankful letters to us that they really feel like we're in the same loop, and we're part of the same process. This slide I wanted to make as a separate, just the photo with Santiago Calatrava, one of the most popular and biggest architectural names of the modern architecture. We had a project coming up, and we had to come to Switzerland to film some on-site shots, both in his office, in his house. He had this aura of the great professionalist, and you can just feel the respect everyone from his company had around him. And later on, we went to his house, and once we finished the shots, he showed us throughout his house with arts that are one on the behinds, that all his work, sculptures, drawings. And he invited us for a casual talk after we were done everything related to the project. And as we were talking like for an hour or two with him, it was me and another colleague from the company. I was reading, I just couldn't realize the surreal situation I'm in, because when I started with render test during the night, crashing, everyone saying you should stick to marketing, you should drop it, it's not good, it's not going anywhere, that I got to meet one of the biggest architects in his house to discuss, to have a friendly chat. And it's to do this day, it's still a blessing for me. Dubai is a very large part of our company's field of work. A lot of our projects are focused in the Middle East, and especially Dubai. The image you see in the back currently behind me is from one of the biggest master plans in the world, Dubai Creek Harbor. I'm not there currently, I'm in Sofia, that's just the render. Here on the left, I'm with my boss attending the Dubai Expo. And Dimitar was always been a mentor, like a boss / friend to me, because had he not brought me to Sofia, and had he not told me to be brave and take my chances, I would probably be in some other place, some other career. And now that this career got me to Dubai, to travel, to make photo shoots there, to meet the clients we're working with. And as I say, the same team, I meant that once you meet the people you're working with, because for most of the part in ArcVis, it's mostly phones and emails. But once you meet them, once you see the real people that are have positive attitude, they are not here just to give you more and more comments, just to torture you. They just want to make a collaborating process to get the best possible, because it really put things into perspective, that when you see a building that you work with is right there in front of your eyes, high towers, hundreds of meters. When you see that, when you think that maybe a material change you proposed might affect the whole building appearance. It's just, okay, you're not the main architect, you're not the one that you're signing behind the under the contract, but you still have some touch there that stays forever. This building will stay there forever. And as someone who is not an architect, is really a blessing for me, and truly cherish that process. And yeah, my last slide, appreciate the craft. I just put drone photos because I wanted to say that you have to explore, that you don't have to be focused in one single thing. That the thing that I'm working 3D full-time doesn't mean you can't explore other passions. On the left is my first drone photo when I bought my drone back in 5 years ago. And the one with the night shot is the same place, National Palace of Culture in Sofia, but during the night, much more advanced. And this is just my hobby. So the fact that I have a full-time in 3D doesn't mean I can't have a hobby that I can get better with. And on the right, where it says Bulgaria, it's from one of the biggest expos in Europe for architecture and real estate. And the people presenting the Bulgarian booth contacted me and wanted to buy this photo without me ever promoting my drone photos. And this is not some plug. This is just to show that you can always explore. The fact that you spent many years in something doesn't mean you can't also diverse, that you can also, if you're in a company, or if you're even not in a company, if you're freelance, the more you can do, the more you can offer on the table, it makes you harder to replace. If you're just a one-trick pony, okay, if you're super good at it, that's great. But if something happens, if the market crashes, if you have to find something else, you don't have any other skills, that is a really a possibility some people might want to consider, and always have that side quest, I might say, that might save them one day. It's not that I'm thinking about quitting, it's just never stop exploring. But the main passion, you just gotta find it, and for me that is 3D. For more than 10 years, you know, I'm finished with this. Life is really too short. It's really a cliche, but life is really too short to spend it on a job that you don't like, that you hate going in the morning. And if it doesn't get you through the day, it's really not worth. Just find your passion. Back in the day, my girlfriend told me, okay, I'm graduating in architecture, I'm starting a job, and I have some colleagues that are waitresses and that are making more money than me. I said, it's not about who is making more money now. You can make money with everything, but you have to be, when you wake up and when you go to bed in the evening, you have to be with ease with yourself, at peace, that you're doing something you like. Because one day, like 50 years from now, if you go back and just see you spent most of your time, because your job is where you will spend most of your time during the day with these people on that place. If it's something you hated, it's not really worth it. It's not all about the money. You just have to find your passion. And I'd love to close with that. I don't want to bore you anymore. I hope it was interesting for you. I hope people can take something from this talk. And I thank to Nicholas and House for this great opportunity. Anything you want to contact, just go to redvertex.com. You can contact our company there. We have an academy we have an idea to start to become international. We have, as I mentioned, offices in different companies. So if you want to pursue a career in a 3D company, you can always contact us. Cheers.